Hi everybody, welcome to the fourth module of course Environmental Studies, the role of microorganisms in the removal of environmental pollutants, part 1. In this part, we are going to cover what are xenobiotics, its sources and types, and what are recalcitrant compounds and its persistence in the environment and its adverse effects on the environment, including biomagnification. We will start our discussion with a quoting from famous environmentalist Rachel Carson. Man is a part of nature, and his war against nature is inevitably his war against himself. Human impact on environment itself triggered climate change, soil erosion, poor air quality, and undrinkable water. So every human being is responsible in conservation of environment. Let's discuss what is xenobiotics. Xenobiotics are chemical compounds mostly produced by human activity which enter into the environment at higher than background concentration. The xeno in the xenobiotic comes from the Greek word meaning foreigner and bio meaning life. So we can define xenobiotics as chemical substances that are foreign to the biological system. In other words, we can say a xenobiotic is a compound found in human body which is not produced by it or expected to be present in it. Now we will discuss what are the major sources of xenobiotic compounds. This includes chemical and pharmaceutical industries that produce a wide array of xenobiotic compounds. Pulp and paper bleaching industries are the main sources of natural and man-made chlorinated organic compounds in the environment. Mining industries release heavy metals into biogeochemical cycle. Fossil fuels such as coal and petroleum, which may be accidentally released in large amounts in the ecosystem, that is oil spills. Intensive agricultural practices that produces massive amounts of fertilizers, pesticides and herbicides into the environment. Now we will discuss what are the different types of xenobiotic compounds. They can be classified or categorized into different types. The first type is halocarbons. These are xenobiotic compounds that contain halogens in diverse amounts, that is chlorine, bromine, fluorine or iodine instead of hydrogen atoms. They find their application in various ways such as propellants in spray cans of cosmetics, paints, etc. and solvents such as chloroform. They are also used in condenser units of cooling system like freons, etc. and insecticides such as DDT, BHC, lintane, etc. and herbicides such as Dalapon. Chloroform and freons, which are basically volatile in nature and released into the environment, and where they devastate the protective ozone layer that leads to increased UV radiation. The second type of xenobiotic compounds are polychlorinated biphenyls. These complexes are covalently linked with two benzene rings and have halogens in place of hydrogen. They are basically utilized as coolants in transformer or as exchange fluids for heat. The third type of xenobiotic compounds include the synthetic polymers. These are polyethylene, polyvinyl chloride, polystyrene, etc., and also nylons, which are used as article of clothing, enveloping materials, etc. They are recalcitrant because they are extremely insoluble in water and due to the high molecular size. Fourth type is alkyl benzyl sulfonates. They are surface active agents that are superior as compared to salts. The sulfonate group at one end opposes microbial degradation while the other end become recalcitrant if it is branched. Degree of resistance increases with increase in branch length. Another important xenobiotic compounds include oil mixtures. Oil is a xenobiotic compound because it is not soluble in water and due to the lethal nature of its compounds. It is naturally produced that contain many components which are biodegradable in nature. Biodegradation is easy when the oil seepage is small, but when large oil spills occurs, these complexes are difficult for biodegradation. Now we will see what are the reasons they are called as resistant to normal biodegradation. This include the presence of unusual bond or bond sequences in these compounds, presence of unusual substitutions such as chlorine or other halogens. Another reason is that the presence of highly condensed aromatic ring in these compounds, and also the excessive molecular sizes such as in polythene or other plastics. And another one is a failure of this compound to induce the synthesis of degrading enzymes. Another reason is that the failure of this compound to enter the microbial cell due to the lack of suitable permeases, and maybe also due to the unavailability of the compound due to its insolubility. Xenobiotic compounds pose huge environmental hazards and they are extremely toxic in nature and have an impact or effect on continued existence of lower as well as higher eukaryotes. And we will see one of the most important adverse effect by this xenobiotic compounds in environment is known as biomagnification. Biomagnification, it is also known as bioamplification or biological magnification. It is the process by which a compound such as a pollutant or pesticide increases its concentration in the tissue of organism as it travels up the food chain. We will explain the biomagnification problem in an aquatic ecosystem. The xenobiotic compounds or like heavy metals are introduced into the aquatic ecosystem and the phytoplanktons during the process of absorption of nutrients like phosphorus, nitrogen, etc. from these natural water bodies, they also take up these human-made chemical compounds which are present in very low concentration in water bodies such as persistent pesticides or xenobiotic compounds like DDT or polychlorinated biphenyls. The concentration of these chemicals are too low in large volume of water bodies such that it cannot be measured even by using very sensitive instruments. These chemicals biologically accumulate in the organism and get concentrated at a level that is much higher in the living cell than in open water. The small fish and planktons, the next trophic level, consume vast quantities of phytoplankton. As a result of these toxic chemicals accumulated by the phytoplankton are further concentrated in the bodies of animals that eat them. This is repeated at each trophic level in the food chain. This process of increasing the concentration of a chemical through food chain is known as biomagnification. The top trophic level, composed of birds of prey, mammalian carnivores, and large predatory fishes, would carry a body burden of environmental pollutant that exceeds the environmental concentration by a factor of 10 raised to 4 to 10 raised to 6. This concentration of chemicals is high enough to cause serious deformities or even death of the affected organism. Biomagnification problem can also be explained in terrestrial ecosystem, and it occurs from the plants to the higher trophic level animals in the terrestrial environment. We will discuss the adverse effect of biomagnification on human health. It has been found that in recent years the consumption of seafood has been linked to certain type of human health problem. This is as a result of accumulation of mercury and the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons in the tissues of marine organisms. Mercury is known to have an adverse effect on humans, such as deterioration in the nervous system, impaired vision, hearing problem, gait and speech, and also the problems with involuntary muscles and destruction of skin and mucosa. In addition, consumption of plants or aquatic animals that have assimilated heavy metals and toxic substances may lead to long-term effects such as different types of cancers, kidney failure, respiratory diseases, brain damage, birth defects, and heart diseases.